Between 1973 and 1986, a sadistic predator stalked neighborhoods. In California, waiting for the right time to strike under the cover of darkness, he broke into homes, violated families, and left a trail of devastation the likes of which America has never seen. At least 106 Visor in total, 133 murders, 50 assaults, and not a single solid lead for police to go on, at least not for several. California in the 1970s was a place of sunshine and freedom, but in quiet suburbs, fear was quietly taking root. Families locked their doors tighter, couples slept uneasily, and whispers of masked intruders spread like wildfire. What no one knew was that the man behind these crimes wasn't an outsider. He was one of their own. His name was Joseph James DeAngelo, a police officer who lived a double life. From officer to predator. In 1973, DeAngelo joined the Exeter Police Department. To colleagues, he was disciplined and professional. He patrolled neighborhoods, wrote tickets, and wore the badge of law. But beneath the uniform lived a darker side, one obsessed with control, power, and violence. On September 11th, 1975, that darkness surfaced. In Visalia, college professor Claude Snelling confronted an intruder trying to abduct his daughter. DeAngelo shot him dead, kicked the terrified girl in the face, and vanished into the night. To investigators, the killer was a mystery. To the town, it was a nightmare. To DeAngelo, it was only the beginning. The Auburn years. In 1976, DeAngelo transferred to Auburn, California. He was known as strict, hot-tempered, and sometimes aggressive, but no one suspected he was living a double life. By 1979, he was fired, not for violence, but for shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent. His career collapsed in disgrace, yet the crimes he committed in secret were far worse than anyone imagined. The East Area Rapist emerges. The summer of 1976 marked the rise of a new terror in Sacramento suburbs. Families reported strange break-ins, windows pried open, doors unlocked, valuables missing. At first, it seemed like ordinary burglary, but soon, it escalated into something far more sinister. The intruder would wake victims with a flashlight, tie them up, and assault them. He whispered threats, "Shut up, or I'll kill you," his voice low and terrifying. Couples were his favorite targets. He would find the man, force him face down, and then rape the woman within arm's reach. The cruelty was psychological as much as physical. Between 1976 and 1978, more than 50 rapes were reported, all with the same chilling pattern. The press named him the East Area Rapist. Communities in fear. Sacramento changed overnight. Families installed deadbolts and window bars. Neighbors formed watch groups, sleeping with flashlights and baseball bats beside their beds. Women feared being alone. Couples avoided going out at night, and children were warned never to wander. For police, it was a nightmare. Despite patrols and investigations, the rapist always slipped away. He studied his victims, planned every detail, and vanished before law enforcement could catch him. 2 lives, 1 man. The most chilling part was that the predator wasn't faceless. He was Joseph DeAngelo, a husband, father, and former police officer. By day, he blended into society. By night, he became the East Area Rapist. By 1979, his crimes had spread fear across California. But no one knew his true identity, and his reign of terror was only beginning. In 1978, the East Area Rapist crimes were escalating. What began as break-ins and assaults was about to transform into something darker: murder. Communities that once feared him as a rapist now faced a serial killer who seemed unstoppable. The Maggiore murders, 1978. On February 2nd, 1978, Brian and Katie Maggiore were out walking their dog in a Sacramento suburb when they crossed paths with the predator. What started as a chance encounter ended in bloodshed. Brian was shot first. Katie tried to flee, screaming for help, but DeAngelo caught her and shot her in the head. The killings marked a chilling shift. The man who had terrorized women in their homes had now begun murdering in public. Investigators were horrified. It confirmed what many feared. The East Area Rapist was evolving. The transition to the coast. After Sacramento, the attacks spread outward. In late 1979, the crimes moved south to Santa Barbara County. Burglary turned to rape, and rape to brutal double murders. On December 30th, 1979, Robert Offerman and Deborah Manning were killed in Goleta. Offerman tried to fight back, but D'Angelo shot him. Manning was bound and raped before being murdered. In March 1980, attorney Lyman Smith and his wife Charlene were found dead in their Ventura home. Charlene had been tied and raped, then bludgeoned. Their discovery by Lyman's 12-year-old son shocked the community. D'Angelo had perfected his method: stalk couples, break in at night, bind them, rape the woman, then kill them both. He thrived on fear and control, leaving behind chaos and grief. Relentless violence, 1980 to 1981. The murders continued. In July 1981, Sherry Domingo and Gregory Sanchez were attacked in Goleta. Sanchez was shot and then beaten to death, bludgeoned 24 times. D'Angelo then tied and raped Domingo before smashing her skull. The savagery was escalating. Each crime scene revealed his ritual of terror: bindings, threats, and an eerie silence afterward. Investigators across California began connecting the dots. The East Area Rapist was now also the original Night Stalker, a predator who left no survivors. The final known murder, 1986. For nearly 5 years after 1981, the killings stopped. Detectives wondered if the attacker had died, been arrested for another crime, or simply moved elsewhere. Then, in May 1986, the nightmare returned one last time. 18-year-old Janelle Cruz, a recent high school graduate, was attacked in her Irvine home. She was bound, raped, and bludgeoned to death. The brutality mirrored earlier crimes. For her family, it was a devastating loss. For investigators, it was the final known chapter of the killer's spree. The case goes cold. After Cruz's murder, the trail went silent. No more attacks were linked to the East Area Rapist. Decades passed. Communities healed, but scars remained. Survivors lived with trauma. Families mourned loved ones. And police clung to DNA evidence, hoping science would one day reveal the monster's identity. For years, the predator seemed to vanish into thin air. No one knew that Joseph D'Angelo, the ex-cop, the husband, the father, was quietly living an ordinary suburban life, hiding in plain sight. For decades, the East Area Rapist, later known as the Golden State Killer, was a ghost. His crimes haunted California, but his identity remained hidden. Survivors carried trauma, families carried grief, and investigators carried frustration. DNA evidence sat waiting, but technology hadn't yet caught up. That changed in 2018. The breakthrough: genetic genealogy. Detectives tried a bold new approach: genetic genealogy. Instead of looking for the killer directly, they uploaded his DNA from old crime scenes into public genealogy databases, sites where everyday people searched for long-lost relatives. Matches began to appear. Not exact, but close enough to build family trees. Investigators worked backward, narrowing suspects by age, location, and history. Slowly, the branches pointed toward one man: Joseph James D'Angelo. Surveillance teams tracked him. They collected DNA from a tissue he discarded in the trash. When the lab confirmed the match to crime scene evidence, decades of mystery ended. The Golden State Killer had a name. The arrest, April 2018. On a quiet evening in April 2018, authorities surrounded D'Angelo's home in Citrus Heights, a Sacramento suburb. Neighbors were stunned as officers led away the 72-year-old former police officer.